Purpose Goddess, the gorgeous goat, your host with the most, the Georgia Peach herself. Let's get in here with the origins of magic. Y'all might hear my babies in the background, my little pups running around here, making all kind of noise, playing. They ain't nothing but they're just like children. Get out of here. They here playing and going on.
Welcome to the Endless Knot. What connects witchcraft, dreams, paperclips, and trees? The answer is magical, as we'll find out in this year's Halloween video. The word magic had a long way to travel before making it into English. The earliest citations for the word in the Oxford English Dictionary are in the Middle English of Geoffrey Chaucer. The word was borrowed through French and Latin.
One of the earliest definitions of magic is the art of influencing events and producing marvels using hidden natural forces. I know that most people don't believe in magic, but what if I told you that we all perform magic simply by speaking and writing words? As if the world wasn't bizarre enough as it is, you will now learn that the words we choose to use in our everyday thoughts have magical elements to them, and you are casting spells when you speak and write. It is the art of directing and controlling energy with a spoken word. Words that transform into frequencies and vibrations that can be used to direct energy. Numbers have magical elements also. In fact, the numeral and alphabet system were created based on sacred geometry and sacred sound, and therefore, numbers and letters have magical properties to them. The art of magic is often practiced with certain sacred magnetic words. These sound tones have powerful vibrational patterns, which are used to direct and control energy, and allows you to harness its power if you know what you are doing. Sound is one of the natural forces used by nature to create crystalline structures and sacred geometries, which are some of the building blocks of matter. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. In most cultures, the Word is equated with God. The world and the Word are only an L apart. God created the world with the Word. The Watchers, the fallen angels that were cast out of heaven by God, dominate and control this world by using hidden magical forces. The world is being dominated by magical forces. Until you learn how magic is being used to control you, you will never know how the world really works. One example is through the careful construction of the English language, designed and put together in a way that produces magical effects and can manipulate those who are unaware of the word's true meaning. A very handy tool for those who wish to control you. Here is a great example of how words are used to cast spells without us even being aware of it, by Laurel Erica. We awake each morning and go off during the weekdays to earn a living at various jobs and undertakings until we come to the weekend. This seems perfectly acceptable to most people, but remember that a wake is a social gathering associated with death held before a funeral. Mourning is the state you are in grief over someone's death, and you would have to be in a weekdays to earn a living, since urns are for the ashes of the dead. We call our jobs undertakings. The word also can mean the profession of funeral management. The word job is a Hebrew word for persecuted. We get the weak end of the deal as we become weakened ourselves. We are not taught this form of magic because it has been hidden from us by the kings and rulers of this world, from our past and our present. The purpose of this is to prevent you from knowing the true intention of language and the powers that we all truly possess inside. The dark forces have been controlling people's life perceptions using magical spells for a very long time now. Their magic spells cannot control 100% of your mind, but they do affect your mind more than you may realize. Just like how subliminal message can affect your subconscious to a large degree. When you speak or write words, you are casting your thoughts and vibrations into the Earth's magnetic field, or magic field, or ether, which is the energy field that helps create and shape your reality of Earth. If you are not careful with what you say or think, you can actually cast a spell without even being aware of it. Have you ever wondered why one of the first things they teach you to do in school is learn how to spell? You are taught the alphabet and how to count numbers, which are designed using sacred geometry and sacred sound. These letters and numbers are ideograms, which are written symbols that represent ideas. After learning the alphabet, you are taught how to spell using the letters of the alphabet. Why do you think they call it spelling? Because you are casting spells when you speak or write. After learning how to spell words, you are taught to cast those spellings into sentences. The term sentence in law refers to punishment. For example, when you curse or use swear words, you are creating and directing your negative energy, and that could lead to many negative outcomes, such as violence, emotional suffering, anxiety, and many other harmful situations. And that's why they call it cursing, because you are casting a spell with those cursing words that cut like a sword. On the other hand, when you say or think positive and loving words, you are creating and directing a positive loving energy. When you say the words, I love you, or I think you're a wonderful human being, for example, you are casting a loving spell that transfers your good vibrations to the other person and can activate beautiful euphoric feelings. The most powerful thing in the world is loving energy. The dark forces have been trying for a very long time now to suppress this beautiful energy that our Creator gave us, and have been manipulating and corrupting everything they could get their hands on. But one thing they cannot control is your free will to love. Don't speak negatively about yourself, even as a joke. Your body doesn't know the difference. Words are energy and cast spells. That's why they call it spelling. Bruce Lee. Dr. Emoto created a famous experiment with water and reports that water is a blueprint for our reality and that emotional energies and vibrations could change its physical structure. His water crystal experiments consisted of exposing water in glasses to various words, pictures, or music, then freezing and examining the ice crystal properties with microscopic photography. He claims that water exposed to positive speech and thoughts created visually pleasing ice crystals, and that negative intentions yielded ugly ice formations. The word occult means secret or knowledge of the hidden. Its early masters were regarded as true magicians. Discoveries in the occult arts of astrology and alchemy gave birth to modern science. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. We can trace the occult teachings back 5,000 years ago in Egypt. The Egyptians believed that this knowledge was given to them by Thoth, the Egyptian god of magic, who is said to have given the world writing, language, and numbers. Legends held that a book of magic written by Thoth contained the secrets of the gods. This book was considered to be in the astral plane, not physical, but something we have to travel in consciousness to get to. Much of what is called ceremonial magic, such as casting spells, the use of magic words, and incantations, comes from the ancient Egyptians. Phoenicians learned this knowledge and then began to spread it throughout the Mediterranean world. Words and magic were in the beginning one and the same thing, and even today, words retain much of their magical power. We know that Hollywood, a druidic establishment located in the city of Los Angeles, is a place where magic happens in the movie and music industry. And it's interesting that real magic wands are made out of Hollywood from a holly tree, and this originates from the ancient Druids. A Druid was a member of the elite ranking class, and this society dates back to ancient Celtic cultures. They are best remembered as religious leaders. They are also legal authorities, adjudicators, lore keepers, medical professionals, political advisors. Learned that the famous Winston Churchill and William Blake were both Druids. How to protect yourself from secret spells. Once you are aware and cautious of the words you choose to use, then you will begin to protect yourself from negative energies. Start paying attention to the trickery behind words. Find the origins of a word, dissect its layers, and look at it from many different angles. The true intent and meanings of the word magically become noticeable in your mind. So next time you look up a definition of a word, do not only look at its face value, but also look at its origins, prefix, and suffix. This is very useful information for you to keep in mind and apply to the real world. Once you realize that magic is real and become aware of how an elite evil empire of dark magicians are using magic spells to control you, then their magic spells lose their effects. Your awareness is one of the most important spiritual powers that you have. Learn how to use it wisely, and the dark magicians will not be able to control you. Learn how to use the power of your awareness wisely. You need to learn the right knowledge. With the right knowledge, you can learn to use your energy in ways that you would never imagine to be possible.
This knowledge is the most deeply occulted or hidden information that exists on this planet. You will not find any more hidden information. This is the thing that all the distractions are there for, to keep you from learning. The endless trivialities, the nonsense you hear on the news, all the video games, all the nonsense television, the sports, it's all there to keep people from understanding this. From my years of being inside occult traditions that are very, very dark, I'm telling you, this is what they don't want you to know. That's why it's not the exoteric. It's not given to the masses. It's the esoteric. It is reserved for the few. And there's a reason for that. It's been deliberately hidden away and kept from the general public in order to create and maintain a power differential. The word occult is simply derived from Latin, the Latin adjective occultus. Occultus in Latin means hidden, hidden from sight. And it's derived from the Latin noun oculus, which means eye, okay? The word ocular in English means related to the eye or related to sight or vision. So what the occult is, it is a body of knowledge that has been hidden away for a specific reason. And we're going to get into what that reason is. From the term oculus or eye in Latin comes the verb occultare. Occultare means to hide, to conceal, or to keep secret, to keep hidden from the eye so that it cannot be seen. The information regarding natural law is occulted knowledge. It is knowledge that has been hidden from humanity. Okay? It's held by the few, which is represented here at the top of this pyramid. You can look at this as a pyramid representing knowledge or ignorance. At the top of the pyramid, you have knowledge. The higher you go in the pyramid, the more knowledge. Okay? But the pyramid tapers because at the top, very few people understand that information. Very few people have that knowledge and have actually integrated it into themselves to the point where it becomes understanding. Down here, you have no knowledge, the ignorant masses. And up here, you have the people who are in the know, right? Who have this knowledge about how natural law works and are actually using it for a certain reason. We're going to get to that next, what that is. Now, why would anybody want to hide knowledge that is extremely important? Well, there's a very specific reason. But before we even get to that, we have to talk about what is this occulted knowledge? What is the body of knowledge? What does it comprise? When I'm saying the occult, the knowledge of the occult, what do I mean by that? Occult knowledge constitutes two things. There's two general bodies of occult knowledge. In the actual mystery traditions and in occult schools, they talk about these as arcana, A-R-C-A-N-A, arcana. The word arcana is also Latin. It means knowledge, okay? That's all it means. So there's two bodies of knowledge. There's one body of knowledge in the occult called lesser arcana, the lesser arcana, or the minor arcana. This means the knowledge of the microcosm, the knowledge of the small things, okay? It doesn't mean it's less important. It means it's dealing with the individual units of consciousness, the human psyche, the psyche of the individual, okay? So the first major body of occult knowledge constitutes knowledge of human consciousness, how it works, how it operates, what our motivations are, things like that. The second body of occult knowledge is called the greater arcana or the major arcana, all right? And again, this doesn't refer to that it's more important. It refers to it is the macrocosmic understanding, the understanding of the very large laws of nature that govern the macrocosm, okay? So universal laws are part of the greater arcana of occult knowledge. And what I call here today, under the umbrella, the term natural law, falls into that second category of greater knowledge, the greater arcana of occult knowledge. And what these natural laws are unseen and universal spiritual laws. We could talk about the word natural here too. Natural is derived from Egyptian and other Middle Eastern tradition languages, okay? The word neter in Egyptian, which would have been spelled without vowels, if we transliterated it, it would be NTR in English. Neter means spirits in Egyptian, in ancient Egyptian. The suffix al, even in English today, but if you go back into Arabic languages and ancient Middle Eastern languages, al as a suffix actually means of or related to, or having come from, okay? So natural, if you put these root words together, neter and al, right? It means of or related to the realm of spirit, of or related to God, actually. The word neter also meant God, spirit or God, okay? So this is the spiritual domain, the laws that actually are operating in the unseen realm, okay? Now, they manifest in the physical realm. We're going to talk about that, okay? Because that's the operation that it trickles down from. It starts in the spiritual domain, and then it manifests in the physical domain, all right? So it's important to understand these two bodies of knowledge. The lesser arcana is about the monad, or the individuated unit of consciousness of the human being. And then the greater knowledge is about the laws that govern the macrocosmic universe. Why is this knowledge hidden away from people? To what ends? The knowledge of the occult, the hidden knowledge about how natural law works and how consciousness works, is not commonly known. That's why it's not the exoteric. It's not given to the masses. It's the esoteric. It is reserved for the few. And there's a reason for that. It's been deliberately hidden away and kept from the general public in order to create and maintain a power differential. The knowledge of natural law and its operations constitutes what I call the most deeply occulted or hidden information that exists on this planet. You will not find any more hidden information. This is the thing that all the distractions are there for, to keep you from learning. The endless trivialities, the nonsense you hear on the news, all the video games, all the nonsense television, the sports, it's all there to keep people from understanding this. And I can't get you to accept that or believe it, and I don't ask you to believe it. I'm telling you that's what they're trying to, from my years of being inside occult traditions that are very, very dark. I'm telling you, this is what they don't want you to know. The powers that be want to seek to keep this information hidden from the people of the earth at all costs, because understanding this information about natural law will level the playing field and put an end to the currently entrenched systems of control that are operating on the earth. We should very clearly make a distinguishment between nescience and ignorance, so that people fully understand the difference between these two concepts. How many people even have heard the term nescience? Very few. This is a word that has practically been sanitized from colloquial English, practically been sanitized from the English language. And there's a reason for that too. There's two contexts to not knowing something. The first context is nescience, okay? Nescience comes from the Latin. The prefix ne in Latin means not or not present or absent, okay? And then sciere in Latin means to know. It's where we get the word science from, okay? So you put them together, and nescience, it actually, those two roots form another word, nesciere. Nesciere in Latin means not to know, to not understand. But there's a connotation to it. It means to not understand because the specific information that you may be having a desire to understand is completely absent. It is not present, and you cannot actually aggregate that information. You can't bring those pieces of grammar together to form the sentence, okay? It's not present, okay? So you don't have it at all. It's unattainable. So therefore, let's define natural law. The simple definition of natural is inherent, having a basis in nature, reality, and truth, not made or caused by humankind. So if it's natural, wasn't made by mankind didn't make it. Okay? And again, the origin of the word, neter in Egyptian means spirit, and all means of or related to. So of or related to spirit, it is all of nature, the spiritual domain. See, this is the other part. People believe that the spiritual domain is separate from the physical domain. This is a huge thread and a huge central focus in all of my work. If you think the spiritual domain is not where you are at now because you're in the physical domain, you're mistaken. If you think that the spiritual domain is someplace other than the physical domain, you're also mistaken.
So I'd like to get some clarity on the subject of when you see like triple numbers together, say on a license plate. I know that you have talked in the past about that's a demonstration of alignment because it's not as likely to see 3 9s together as it is to see a 6, 4, and 3 together.
The number didn't go 4, 8, 9, and then all of a sudden become 3 numbers because you were there. It's that because of your alignment and because of what those numbers represent to you, and because you care about alignment and you want evidence of your alignment, when you are in a place where you're not doing that thing that causes you to resist that alignment, then all kinds of those things happen in your experience because you are a cooperative component to your own pleasant desire.
And what I would like to know is that, let's just use the last 12 months. I've found myself in a place, a lot of step 1, a lot of contrast. And yet, in the midst of all of that, 5, 6, 7, 8 times a day, seeing triple numbers, whether it's on a license plate or the side of a vehicle, how is it that I'm able to connect with evidence of alignment when I'm not feeling aligned?
We're just going to find the basis of this. First, the easy to understand response to this is most people are at their most aligned while they are driving, because you're focusing upon a repetitive thing and you're often not pondering all kinds of other things that have you all wadded up. So it's like the likelihood of feeling your wisdom in an environment like this is much greater than when you're having an argument with somebody that you care about. So the environment is somewhat conducive to how much alignment you have. But that almost so do with those conditions.
Rendezvous with them, but I'm surprised when I do because I don't feel aligned.
In any moment in time, you stand as a vibration that's happening because of your thoughts in relationship with a vibration, your inner being, that's happening because of your inner being's thoughts. And you might find it interesting that both thinkers, you and you, which is only one, but this calibrating dance that you're always doing. Because as you hear us when we say that your inner being is with you and cares about what you want, and all the struggle that you felt in the last year has caused a new wave about new subjects. It's just that you're still more calibrated to the situations, and your inner being is immediately calibrated to the new request. So the more you are writhing in your discomfort, the more you are sending an equivalent positive wave, and the better your inner being feels about it. You see, your inner being is the opposite of what you want your friends to be and what you want your mother to be. Your inner being will not support you in your dysfunction. So when things are going wrong, they get better, which for you feels terrible, because you just caused the crevasse between where you're dominantly thinking and what your inner humans, because we want it to sound like peanut, we're just playing with you. But you humans, you humans, the human part of you humans, you do think about the things you want. Way
As for it, all a woman got to do is download a fertility app. Because they're so logical. Mm-hmm. And then there's other people who aren't logical. They may be more faith-based, mm-hmm. right? They may judge by their senses, or they may judge by their feelings. Mm-hmm. So a person that is a feeler, right, it's easier for them to take faith than a person that has to be judged by their senses, because they have to observe, and it has to be an observable truth, mm-hmm. in order for them to be able to command their thoughts, to be able to process that and say, yes, I take this as wholehearted truth.
Well, that's true, because that's one of the things about this ancient African sciences of astrology and numerology. All of this was by people over time began to
the idea of accuracy and the idea of truth. And sometimes accuracy is lost when people are searching for truth, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. There was a famous, he was an astrophysicist, I believe, but he was giving an example of, if you ask somebody their heights, they're going to say maybe 6 feet 2 inches. Mm-hmm. But it's not exactly accurate.
No.
Right? Mm-hmm. Because you know, now if you were judging by 6 feet 2 inches and a few centimeters, right? Mm-hmm. And then those centimeters stack up to 30 atoms, right? Now, but when you're talking about